to Glenleithen, and it's November 3rd. It's 9 a.m. It's still freaking dark. Whose idea was it to move up to Scotland? Roll on spring is kind of all I can say. I think I am going to need to install some lights in the yard at some point. In particular, once I actually have animals here that I need to care for. I'm kind of hoping that by the time the animals come in spring, it won't be so bad. Between videos, I have added in a hose for washing down the tractors, a fuel tank, so a small diesel tank. It says small petrol tank, but it has diesel in it. Way to go, Giants. And also a repair station so we can keep the tractors in good order. Plan for today. So the weather forecast is mixed. A few hours of dry, some rain, and then some dry again. And then we go into December where it gets cold and potentially snowy for the rest of the year. So and I want to set some context here. There are some jobs that the patrons could be doing. We've got our root crop harvester, and there is a huge root crop harvesting contract, for example. So DS Agri could be doing some work on here. So I don't want to use the whole day up because it would give me an opportunity to get the multiplayer server up. So got them. For someone who's trying to do something quickly, I am waffling an awful lot. I also need to update the map because Cavalier has sent me a couple of updates to the map and I have not implemented them yet. So the plan is to try and get some crops in the ground. That is what I was looking for, along with where is, I bet it's on the mowers still. So this is a bit of a rambly introduction as well. It's Monday and I have pretty much just finished work, and I thought I would record an intro like this to the video. At some point it will switch to a normal style video. Last one. But yeah, I thought I'd give this a crack on Glenleithen. I can't remember. So yeah, in a previous video, in fact, in the first video on here once we moved, I was sat in the potato field, in the rain, in the other 8410, pondering whether I should be plowing the field in the rain. Well, it's dry now. It has been dry for a while. It's going to stay dry for a little while. So just hold that. We have 2 plows. As they say, 2 plows is better than 1. Do they say that? The sunrise is coming. The sunrise is coming, but not yet. I could really do with some daylight to be able to do what I want to do, which is to split this field in half. And in the dark, I can't actually tell where in half is, which is a bit annoying. So I was going to do this a different way, but what I'm going to do is switch into the other 8410, run a couple of headlands. So if we jump in here, get the lights on. Thankfully it has darn good lights. So what I'm thinking is that if I run I know this is not super realistic, but this plow doesn't work particularly well with courseplay. Otherwise, I'd probably try and do some course play games. In fact, I could still try and do some course play games. So if we go into plows, that one's 2.5. They'd have to run it as a course for a 2.5 meter plow. It actually isn't buying us a lot, so I'm going to do it this way. It's not ideal, but it will work. So the plan is I am going to plow a headland along this kind of weird curvy edges. A little Deadpool reference for you there. I love that movie. So I'm going to run a couple of headlands along both of what are kind of the short runs, and then I will set a worker going on one side of the field with one plow, and I will start going on the other side of the field with the other plow, and hopefully we'll meet in the middle, and hopefully by then there will be some daylight. I'm actually going to run it at 3 times time. So, as I said, I don't want to use up all of the time because it would be cool to be able to let the patrons have got on here for a bit for multiplayer. If that happened, it will have happened probably before this video was released, but so they will know already, and they will know what I've been up to already, which is, you know, one of the things of if they come on the multiplayer server, there are spoilers. So yeah, probably what would be better is if I did at least a full lap of the field to make turning easier. I should probably do that, but yeah, unfortunately the winter months on here are going to be kind of dark. Now I could adjust that a couple of ways. I could skip the time ahead to midday and I could just record in the middle of the day, apart from the fact that the weather forecast for midday here is pretty grim. So that's an option. The other option is I could adjust it so that the lighting is not so. So the reason the lighting is like this is because when I set up the environment file for the weather, I also shifted it so that we are up in the north of Scotland, or not north, but kind of middle of Scotland, and that means that the sun comes up later. So it's partly my fault that it's like this, but I don't know how to adjust it. But yeah, it's pretty dark. But you know, that's winter in the UK sometimes. It's brightening up, you know. It's probably going to be quite a nice day once the sun comes up. But for now, it's dark. So yeah, I am sure, because the video has literally just gone live, that I haven't had any feedback yet on what we should do for the feeding for the cows now we've moved. Get moved, cows moved, because cows go moo. Yeah, cool. I find my dad jokes are funnier when I explain them. So yeah, so I have yet to decide what I'm going to plant. By the time I finish recording this video, a bunch of you will have seen and probably commented, so that's not going to be so much of an issue, I suspect. But at the moment, I am not sure what I'm going to plant. So if we look in the crop calendar, we can plant wheat, barley, or oats. If we want to plant any wheat, we need to do that this game day. So probably at least half of this field will go for wheat. So we'll get straw off it, and it's we're doing cows. If we want to make grain mix, it's a good option. So yeah, we'll get some wheat in the ground, I think. Come on, this plow is a bit of a bit of a weird one. So it was cheap, basically. And it doesn't have ridiculous horsepower requirement, and it does a proper ploughing job. So that's why I'm running it. It does a nice job. It's just a bit, so it's a little bit slow to lower. A little bit annoying. The other thing is I had to make a slight tweak to it because it's I can sort of understand why they've done it, but they've set the AI worker settings to be narrower, and that just kind of screws things up a little bit. I think VCA and the other GPS mods use that setting to get the implement width when you're doing stuff with them. So that's a bit of a pain, and so I've adjusted it, and it seems to be working better. But it's so this doesn't work particularly. This plow doesn't work well with courseplay, because my original plan was to stick this on courseplay, and once the plowing's got a little bit ahead, I could then get on with some of the other jobs we need to do on the field. You may remember from one of the Maypole videos when I did run this on courseplay, it left a bunch of gaps because courseplay with plows does automatic offsetting, but this isn't an offset plow, but it kind of half behaves like one. So yeah, it was a bit, it didn't do a great job when I tried to plow with courseplay. And this is quite a big field. The fields that we own on here in their original guise are quite big for the kit that we have. So as I said before, my plan is to split the 2 fields that are going to be our arable fields into 4 fields. That's not something that I normally like doing on maps. On Greenlands, I joined 2 fields together. Generally, I kind of like to play them as the modder creates the fields, but for this job, I think it's going to be better to split them into 2, at least initially. In time, we might resplit them into single big fields, but initially, I think it makes sense to run them as slightly smaller fields. I think that's probably enough. So we'll whiz down the other end and make a start on putting in a few headlands down there, and then I can get stuck into my plan. I probably won't show all of the ploughing, particularly working in dark. Hopefully by the time we get back to you, it will be daylight. So the other thing is probably we do need to get some lime on the field. There's another job that we really need to get done before we plant. So and we don't have a particularly big lime spreader, so we'd need to get a bunch of lime delivered to the farm. That's okay. The local agricultural supply do delivery for a small fee. So yeah, we'll be okay. We'll get them to deliver a bunch of bags of lime to maybe the corner of the field or something, and get stuck into liming the field as well then. And I could stick both plows on workers and I could get stuck into doing the liming, or I could equally use worker on the liming, but that won't work so well with refilling. Yeah, I think maybe long term, although once you've limed a field once with precision farming, I'm going to do that and then run back the other way. Once you've limed the field once with precision farming, it's not so bad in terms of the amount of lime you have to apply. It's just that initial hit of lime, which is ridiculous sometimes. Come on. There you go. There we go. I don't know if 3 headlands will be enough this end. It looks like it might. There's a bit of room there. I think if I run the plough that's on a worker on the other side, so on this far side of the field, that might work better. Yeah, I love the kind of autumn light on here. It's just a little bit dark for making videos, basically. I guess I will see what you guys thought of the last one, which was recorded basically into the evening in game, and whether you hated it or not. If you did and kind of stuck, because I've already recorded this one, so you know, that's the thing that I've done. I'm going to start like kind of way over, because I know that I adjusted as I went along. Come on. Let's get some 4-wheel drive going on. And H. And hopefully that will work. So, he's on his way. The tractor or the worker, they are on their way. I'm going to run one more headland this end. And then I can run up the long run, and if I need to, I can drop another headland in the other end as well, and that will give us both plenty of room to turn around. Obviously, it's a field that had potatoes in, so it does need ploughing, for more than one reason. Ideally, I would run our disc over it afterwards as well before I plough it. I don't really want to be ploughing into the ridges left behind by the 2 ploughs. So what we might end up doing is, for the seeding, running one tractor with the disc in front of us on course play, and then I'll seed behind it. I know I have a direct drill, but it still feels a bit, excessive to be drilling into something that is essentially freshly ploughed. I don't remember. Oh, so yeah, so we've got the Vanderstad seeder, so yeah. But I think we should run, we've got the disc harrow, so we'll run that over the field first. I think we've got plenty of tractors, so it's not like we're short of kit to be able to do this, and probably we can get the job done pretty quick. Let's just have a quick check on the map of how the workers handled the first run, and it looks like just fine, so that's cool. I will put probably 2 more headlands along here, just to give us plenty of room to turn around. So I'll go backwards and forwards across the field. Normally, I view how I play as, and I've said it before, Kartek and I kind of joke about it, with a nod to realism. I know that realistically you wouldn't plough the headlands in first, but I'm working within the limitations of a base game worker. The base game worker will do a better job with a headland, so that's why I'm putting the headland in. If I could do it all with, if I could run like a mixed course play course where we had one implement that was one width and one was another, then I wouldn't need to do that. But working with what I've got, and this is what I've got, so that's all I can do. Having the 2 sets of headlights is quite nice, I've got to admit. this will mean that there's quite a big headland at this end, not so big at the other end, but there is a bit more field margin at the other end. So, yeah, we should be okay. And once I've run back across, I can get stuck in. So, since the last video, nothing's happened back at Maypole because I'd already done through to December on there. So there will be a payment coming in December from the milk, and at that point I will move the loan across as well because I'm going to sneeze. No, maybe. The end of November loan payment has already been made over on the other save, so I don't want to make it twice, basically. I can probably actually just leave this down. I don't think you'd be, given that it's a hand jack to raise and lower it, I don't think you'd be constantly lifting it and dropping it. I think you'd probably just be getting to work with it. Not sure, but that's what I'm going to do. So it's interesting, the field doesn't look as big from this angle, but you know, the sun is calming up. How are we doing now? It's still pretty dark. We are getting some daylight, so I think we'll it shouldn't take too long to get this ploughed in with the two of us working, I don't think. Let's check. Yeah, I don't think it's going to take too long at all. What have we got to chat about today? So you probably noticed that I have stopped doing the shorts last week. That was for two reasons. Two reasons again. The first was that I was that time in the morning was time that I used to use to run, and I'm now using again to run, so that's part of it. And the other one was, I've said in a couple of videos this week, last week was pretty mental, and so I just took it easy a little bit more. The first few videos that you've seen this week were recorded before work this morning. This one is being started after work on Monday. So I might actually skip a couple of rows and come back. So I'm still suffering with the low-level migraine. It's so hot as well. I'm not going to be doing huge amounts more like this because it's now 29.4 degrees in here. I have got 3 computers running. I haven't switched off my work computer yet, and the desktop is rendering a video whilst I play, and it's so hot. And that's probably not helping me, to be honest. So I'm going to ramble on for a bit, and the castle in the background does look very nice. So last time we were playing, I could see the outline of it, but couldn't remember the detail. It does look very cool. Have done a really nice job on this map. I know it's not to everyone's taste with the way that he builds them with lots of Giants assets, but you know, not everyone is a Blender expert, but the guy does put together a nice map. So, you know, should we be denied his 4 maps now in FS22 because he can't 3D model in Blender? Or he doesn't want to 3D model in Blender, you know? His ability to build a map, I am really impressed with. You know, these are all fictional maps, so he's designed them himself. I know this one in particular has been designed with a heavy multiplayer element in mind in terms of how the farms are structured and how the fields are structured. I think that's because Cav plays a lot of multiplayer, so a lot of competitive style multiplayer. So yeah, I mean, like our farm is in a nice little corner on its own. If you could grab a nice set of fields. You've got this farm down here with a nice set of fields around it. It's designed so that you can, you know, kind of grow your farm without really clashing with each other early on. It's, yeah. But I know some people think, you know, everything should be super high res 3D, freshly 3D modeled buildings, and not everyone can do that. I mean, the same goes for Farms in Briscoe, and his maps are all built with all the buildings and things are prefabs and mods. So you know, it's the ability of the map maker to put together an experience which is enjoyable. And you know, I think it's pretty obvious from the amount of times I've played on Cavalier's maps. So did obviously the start of this series let's play thing on Maypole. I have done a community multiplayer on Maypole. I've done something else on Maypole. I played like on Maypole like 3 times. I really like that map. I used Ebony Island for some testing that I did. Some testing that didn't make it into a video, but yeah. And I think Farms in Briscoe is definitely well up there as well. You know, the style of the map that, you know, the Oaks was his first map, and it had so many really cool features. And let's get so this, we could be running a bit wider on here. We could be running at I think is it 4.8. Now you can come back here. Thank you. Should cover the ground a bit faster now. We'll have to check that that's going to behave properly. We need to fill that gap in. Yeah, the Oaks was his first map, and it was very cool. I've not really played on it, but I did do the map tour when he sent me the map over. And obviously, loving Saxthorpe, if you can't tell from the amount that I am churning out videos on there. So, yeah. 2 really good, quite different maps at the moment. Obviously, both in the UK. So, I know. I did promise you something different, and it hasn't really happened. But I think I'm playing Saxthorpe quite differently. And you know, this is a continuation of something, so it's not going to change massively, but it would like to do the feeding slightly differently, so we'll see how that goes. I think, you know, subject to people's comments, obviously, I think I'm going to be doing more whole crop silage on here, so be doing something with one of the fields, at least one of the fields that plant with whole crop silage to get some of that, and we'll do the green mowing. That's quite cool, and we've got the kit to do that, so that's good. And yeah, we've got the improvised animal shed with it. That's very close to a manure pit, so it may not behave completely as delivered, but that's okay, you know. I've added enhanced animal system now, so we're going to get calves that look like calves, which is cool. I had wanted to add that in on Maypole, but in the run up to that was when Chisel was joining the farming agency, and so I held off until all of that was finalised. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be a really nice addition. I'm planning to use the improvised shed for the calves over the winter. Obviously, when they come from Maypole, I'm going to hang on until spring and the grass is growing and we can graze them, so they can all go straight into the pasture to be grazed. That'll give us time to get some straw in the bale sheds and get some fodder stored up, some more fodder stored up, forage really. Yeah, that's kind of where we are with that. I've been rambling for about half an hour now, so I think probably at this point I'll hand over to future me. I can go cool off a bit, and we'll finish getting this job done, and probably come back when the ploughing's finished. You can see how this is going to work. But we need to get the field lined and also then split up, and I'll probably lime it, then split it, and then worry about planting. Might see if we can get both halves planted today. That might not happen. Wheat's the priority because that's one you can't plant in spring here in Scotland. We can only do winter wheat. So yeah, I will, well, future me will be back in a bit. Took you long enough to finish that ramble. That is future me. I think I recorded the first half of this video on Monday. It's now Friday, so yeah, a little bit later. A little bit of rain's setting in. We're just going to get this ploughing finished though. I'm not going to stop at this point. It did work pretty well running both ploughs together. Annoyingly, we're just not quite getting the whole of this strip. So anyway, yeah. So it has taken me the rest of the week to finish this video. Those of you that are on Discord, or even if you've seen the YouTube community post today, I am taking a little bit of a break after this video, probably only 2, 3, 4 days, something like that. It's been an exhausting week, and I need some time to rest. I'm probably still gonna be playing Farm Sim, but I haven't got any videos uploaded after this one, and I'm not going to push myself to rush to get stuff out. I'm going to listen to some of you telling me take a few days off, but that's what we're going to do. Now that the ploughing is pretty much finished, what I'm doing is I'm measuring the field, because I want to, it didn't actually work the way I wanted it to, but I want to try and split it roughly in half. So I'm measuring it using the map. So we're at about 349 on the, I guess, Y coordinate. Yep, it would be the Y coordinate. I'm just going to run up the field and see what it is at the other end and split it roughly in half. And we're not going to get both halves planted today. That did not work. So yeah, I don't know if I said in the first chunk. I don't think I did. Cavalier did confirm that the latitude change is in, and I'm not convinced I'm getting lat and long the right way around. It's been a week, as I said, but he has also tweaked the weather, not the weather, the weather I did. He has also tweaked the lighting on here a little bit, so that's the combination that's giving us quite a dark winter time. I'm hoping that when we get into spring and summer, it is much lighter. It is latitude. Yay me. Anywho, we are going to get roughly in about the halfway point of the field, and then try and cut the field in half without losing too much. And actually, when I was looking at this, we'll see it when we're planting. The field doesn't feel as big as I thought it did, but we only have 2 fields we can use for arable, and we need to plant more than 2 crops. So I'm going to split them up, make them smaller fields. As we make money, I'll probably look to A, pay the mortgage off, and B, buy a couple more fields so that we can expand. And that way, if we've got excess, we can sell it. Yeah, so it's Friday lunchtime of a very long week. It is not as hot, thankfully, now, and it's still 26 degrees in the spare room, but 26 degrees is better than 30 degrees. So it's also the weekend of FarmCon, which I am not at. The income from doing this does not justify me traveling to a foreign country at this point, and I can't justify it as a jolly. So yep, no FarmCon for me. Actually though, for a lot of people, going to FarmCon is probably a social experience. You know, there's a bunch of creators going that I think are going to meet other people. I would want to go to learn more from giants, and having looked at the program it says that most of the presentations are going to be in German, and my German is not good. So it would be kind of limiting, I guess. I know during the pandemic years when they streamed it, I think they streamed a lot more of it in English than they maybe would normally, or they might have had someone talking over in English. I don't remember. I remember watching a lot of it and being able to understand it. So, yeah, so that would be a downside in that going would mean until I learn much more German, I would not understand most of it. The plus would be getting to see people. See, a few of the farming agency are going, which would be cool, but yeah, not happening this year. And from what I've read since, maybe even what I said in this first half of this video, it doesn't appear like Giants will be streaming any of it, so that's kind of pants. But if it's going to be in German, it doesn't matter so much for me anyway, because I wouldn't understand it. So I'm attempting to really badly to do a straight line down here. It's not quite perfect, but the idea being that if it's straight, courseplay will behave better. And I do want to be using courseplay on these fields for some jobs. So yeah, I'm just going to get this bit that was missed. And then while it's raining, rather than having the lime and the seed that we need delivered, I decided to take a trip up to the store to see a little bit more of the map. These hills are interesting. So I bought one of the 7810s over. I think we need more horsepower for the hills for getting around the map. So yeah, the other thing that's happened since I recorded the first half of this video is this map is now on Mod Hub, which means it's on all platforms, which is really cool. So go download it. We're buying lime and seed. Go download it. Go rate it. Go rate it 5 stars because it's really good. It's just under 4 stars at the moment, and I think that's partly what I was rambling about in the first part of the video, in that some people judge because it's not full of brand new 3D models, but actually play the map and you'll realize that it's a really nice map. Yeah, maybe I have different opinions on what makes a map good compared to other people. No, the fact that it rains endlessly is not good, but there is a particular person to blame for that, so I can't really complain too much. I am going to make use of the forklift that's up here. Yes, it's not really a 90, or maybe forklift diddle, I don't know. But I'm going to make use of it. So on Maypole, I had the JCB telly truck at the store. It is in fact still at the store on Maypole. So going to make use of the little Manitou forklift here to load some stuff up. It's why I went for the big bags rather than, or these big bags rather than actual big bags, because the forklift can pick these and put them on the trailer. In the future, probably I will be getting stuff delivered to the farm, but it was raining, so it was something to do basically while it rained. But yeah, the plan is we are going to lime the field. We're going to get the disc over the field, and then we're going to seed it. So, ended up, this is quite a long video, but I wanted to get this job done in this video because I do think, I'm not certain, but I do think I'll be progressing through winter between videos, and that actually works quite well with me taking a bit of a break. So I had said that I might try and get the multiplayer live. I might still do that this weekend, I don't know. But my hope is that I can get this video rendered and uploaded for Friday. We'll see. So also, since I recorded the first chunk of this video, we've had our home internet fixed. So I guess some of you might remember when I was doing multiplayer with Cartec, at some points I would disconnect and lose connection, and just in general at home, our internet connection, it's been fast but unstable. And we had a technician come out from Virgin Media, who's our internet provider, and he did find that some of the signal strengths were out of spec, and so he went round and he replaced every connector between the road and our router. moved some unnecessary branching and stuff, and by the time he left, which took nearly 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours, our connection was back in spec. We got a new router, and since then it's been really good as far as I can tell. I've not been home much since it's been fixed, but it seems like it's been really good. So I did note that the upload speed, although we don't have more up, this is going to sound weird, makes no sense to me. Our upload speed is the same, but things seem to upload faster. I know it makes no sense, but and I generally don't tend to sit and watch videos upload because they take like an hour or more. But they seem to be uploading quicker, so man, I'm going to take it. Yeah, and so far the connection's been much more stable, which is cool. Yeah. So as I said, why am I taking a break? So, basically I'm mega tired. This is a bit of a hill. It almost looks like a freaking roller coaster going up here. It's nuts. I should have put the tractor into manual transmission because it was really struggling with the shifting. But one of the nice things about this map is there are lots of farm tracks, so we're going to get off the main road because we're going quite slowly and cut through, and we can just kind of hop our way pretty much all the way back to the farm on farm tracks, apart from a little stretch, I think. So rain's cleared up. We need to fill the spreader with lime and get the disc going. I think I limed first. So, yeah. As I said, why am I taking a bit of a break? So you can see there briefly on the map actually as well that I didn't do a very good job of splitting the field in half. But doesn't matter. Why am I taking a bit of a break? I'm really tired. Last week was really tiring. So I had a day, a night away, a really long day, and got back home really late, and we had a really stressful day on last Friday. Over the weekend I was quite headachy, and then this week's just been really busy as well. I've been in the office for a couple of days, some fairly heavy days of meetings, some fairly heavy meetings as well, and yeah, and Wednesday with the whole internet thing that was done on Wednesday, and that was really stressful. I really struggled with that, with how my brain is having having a stranger in the house for 2 hours, having to root round finding where cable runs went was really stressful. And then yeah, I was in the office yesterday. I was basically did a 14-hour working day yesterday, and by the time I got home I was exhausted. And woke up this morning and didn't really feel like I'd been to bed. So I am having the weekend off. Well, I would normally have the weekend off, but I don't have any videos stacked up like I would normally have, so there are no videos this weekend. I'm on working Monday and Tuesday next week from home, and then I have a week off, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait. And probably what that means is I suspect the videos will restart on about Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Yeah, probably maybe I might build up a bit of a stock. I might also not go to full speed straight away. We'll see. What I was pondering yesterday was limiting myself to 2 videos on here, 2 videos on Saxthorpe, and then whatever tutorials fall in those other 3 days, and then there'll be the Patreon video, and some timber box. I just love playing that game, so yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. That I might just ease off on 1 or 2 videos for a little bit in the week. I'm going to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys all supporting the channel. Thank you to Chris, who is another one who's stepped up to the insane level of supporting me. Really appreciate it. All 4 of you. You guys are slightly crazy in my mind, but I appreciate it, and I mean that in a good way. Please don't be offended by that. But yeah, appreciate you all. Links below if you're interested. Completely optional, not at all required, but it does help. And I don't know if I've mentioned it on a main channel video. I've certainly spoken to a couple of people about it. Something that I've wanted to do is look at how FS runs on really low spec computers. So it's dug out. I have a 10-year-old laptop I've dug out. I've had to install Windows 10 on it because you need Windows 10 for FS22. It was Windows 7. I think it's just done an upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10. So I think it's cool. I'm going to start with FS19 on X, have FS19 on Steam. But I'm going to pick up a copy of my 4th copy of FS22. Don't. I should have brought one on Steam ages ago. But the Giants ones seem to lock themselves to a computer, it seems. So that's a bit annoying. I'm going to pick up a copy on Steam. I'm going to test it on that laptop. Hopefully make a little video out of that. I have brought off of eBay I wanted to go for the minimum spec for FS22. But weirdly, that specific combination actually was double the cost of one that I've brought, which is ever so slightly above the min spec. And so I'm going to do some tests with that. I'm going to do some tests basically with all of the... I've got so much computer kit around from like old laptops and old computers and stuff. And I'm going to do just a bunch of tests because you quite often see people saying, I play on console, but I want to get a PC. Is PC X good enough? And the answer you quite often see people say is, well, just go look at the minimum specs. And actually, does a minimum spec PC give you an enjoyable experience playing Farm Sim? I'm going to guess, if you're someone who's coming from console who wants to start playing with script mods or, some of these high poly count PC only mods, probably not. And that's what I want to play with. So, and the Patreon and the YouTube channel membership help fund that fun stuff because the videos won't make enough money to pay for the hardware that I've brought. Like the macro keyboard video that I did, that cost me about £25, $30 odd to buy the stuff. Now I've got the macro keyboard and I use it a lot, so I'm not complaining. But that video made about £3. So that gives you an idea of at the level that I'm at, where the return comes on these things, but they interest me. So the wider income that comes in, I'm using to do fun stuff, and hopefully some of you will find it interesting. So yeah, I've got some bits coming from eBay, and we'll end up ordering some more bits. But yeah, going to be a bit of fun. Hoping they will come in the week that I'm off, so I can have a bit of a play. I'm still got to work out how I'm going to record them, because obviously if you're running on a low spec computer, you don't want them then tax it with running OBS, which is what I use to screen cap the gameplay that I normally do. So with all of the tech geek videos that I watch, I've got a couple of ideas of how I might do it. But it should be fun. Should be fun. And that's what this is meant to be about. This is my hobby. So, I want to enjoy it. And so I'm going to do the things that I enjoy. So I'm going to get courseplay going on running the disc over this field, knock the ploughing down a little bit, hit the microphone because I'm a pro, and I'll let them get a little bit ahead while I get the seeder out and loaded up, and hopefully we can do a bit of work in parallel. So yeah, this is my hobby. It's one of my hobbies. Too many hobbies, maybe. One of my hobbies. And so everything. Most of the stuff that I do because it's stuff that I'm interested in or I enjoy. There's the odd video I make because either someone's asked for it and I go, yeah, that might be cool, or whatever. So Same with the mods that I make. I make the mods that I make because they're things that interest me and they don't exist. So, yeah, it's a hobby. Doesn't always have to. It's not about making money. There is a financial side because YouTube pays an income, Patreon pays an income, and I have a long-term goal. May or may not have mentioned. Mrs. D had to stop work 18 months ago now due to health issues. My long-term goal is that this YouTube channel will replace the income that we have lost because she stopped work. Whilst I get there, I'm trying to build an audience and all that kind of thing and get all the kit that I need set up and all that, and that does cost money. So yeah, long term, my goal is that I can replace the lost income from her business by doing my hobby. That's why sometimes I talk about the financial side, because there is a longer goal with this. Yeah, let's hook up the seeder, get some seed in. I forgot to buy fert, which is a bit annoying, but we can spray or spread fert in the summer, in the spring. But yeah, we're going to get wheat planted. It's the last how many hours in which we can plant wheat? 6-8 hours in which we can plant wheat and it will grow. Farming is that exact a science, clearly. Well, virtual farming is, so yeah. We've still got all the bales in the field that I need to clear. I will do that through the winter, probably. I've not decided yet where I'm going to store everything like that. We will see. For some reason, the courseplay was struggling with the collision on. I'm assuming it's the collision that is the edge of the map. Not certain. It didn't play with any settings. I was just, chilled out playing the game. So probably could be fixed, but I'm doing it this way. So yeah, but this run was the run that made me realize actually it's not that big a field. Not as big as I thought it was, but it'll we need to get straw mainly, and whatever crop we're going to feed for making some grain mix or whatever. So probably going to do wheat, might do some oats. I actually asked about this in the last video, so we should talk about the answers. So I've had comments in. So fresh maize was an interesting one from Pete. So chopping maize, but not silaging it. So I guess I bale it and store the bales unwrapped. So that's one. The other one was spuds. So Kartek has bravely volunteered to plant and harvest potatoes for us. So need to get a potato planter, but yeah, I think we've got 4 fields, so I think we'll do wheat, oats, maize and spuds. That's the plan. So the oats, the maize and the spuds we'll plant in the spring, and the wheat's going in, and we'll keep the one field we've got of grass. I am not sure yet when we're going to plough in field 7. I haven't decided yet. It might be if we use field 7 for the maize and the potatoes, we might be able to get a cut of grass for that first in the spring. So I'm going to hang on to it for now and see where we go from there. Obviously, with the contracting in the summer, that'll get us a load of random bits of crop and spare bales and all that kind of thing. So, for the patrons, I have not decided yet whether this will be up as multiplayer this weekend. Depends how things go, and I've not done anything yet in terms of setting this up to play for multiplayer. So I am now running the mod hub version of the map. At this point, I think I was running the mod hub version of the map. I think I updated to that as I did the seeding. I think no, I have updated to it since. So yep, and it all ported across just fine from one of the earlier versions that I was using. One thing I did find, unrelated to that, is where I've disked the soil. It's really, and as we get into the afternoon and the shadows get a bit longer, it's quite hard to see where I've seeded or not. Probably what I should have done is disc and then lime, and I think it might also be because I'm not fertilizing, so we're not getting the texture change from fertilizing. I've also realised that I did not roll this field. We might have to just take that hit, because by the time I get finished, it's pretty dark. That's fine. It's not a big impact on yield. So, and really, this kind of first year, the first few months, has felt like a bit of a scramble in the rain to get anything planted. I didn't think we were going to get crop planted when I looked at the weather forecast. You know, the day before, you get a single snapshot of the weather and it was rain, and actually we've had a mostly dry day, so we've got more done than I thought we would. And as I always say, talking for videos when they're this long becomes a challenge. Yeah, this project of minimum spec, low spec gaming stuff is going to be FS focused. And yeah, it's the other one that I've got a note of that I might do a video on is, again, in a similar vein, the number of posts you see on Facebook of, I've just brought a PC, where do I get all of the mods from? Because you have to get all of the mods, obviously. That's why you've brought a PC. You need all of them. And people throw out all of the random, they throw the good ones out. So Mod Hub, because there are PC specific mods on Mod Hub. You've got GitHub, where a lot of the scripters keep their mods. Itch, where a lot of people release mods. And then you've got sites like King Mods, and then we go into there are some other good ones, but there are then a lot of scummy ones. And I do just wonder whether it's worth doing a video on, it's like, you've just bought a PC. Where do you get all of the mods from? How do you install PC mods? I know there are videos about for that, but I have found that some of you prefer that I make videos even if videos exist. So maybe I might do something on that. I'm just kind of starting to think of ideas for tutorials for the future. So the other one is I need to run another headland here. I'm struggling with the turning with the fence. That's why I'm doing this job. I did the video on the 3 different GPS mods. That was really popular, really cool. And people did ask for either fresh tutorials from me or updates to them. So I'm going to have a look at that. The only concern I have with that is I don't use all of the features of Enhanced Vehicle and VCA. In fact, I use very few of them. So Enhanced Vehicle, I use the GPS, diff locks, 4-wheel drive, and the control of the front and rear implements. VCA, I use very similar, and they both have a lot more in them that I don't use. And so I either need to spend time learning how those work, or just do a tutorial on the bits that I use of those mods. And I'm not sure which way to go on that yet. There was also a question about headland management. I do have a tutorial on headland management from early on when it came out, and that covered using it with guidance steering and enhanced vehicle as well. I think I was having a play earlier in the week, I think, with headland management had an update to include contour following. And what that lets you do is auto drive the headlands. So obviously we've got GPS to do the up down rows. What the contour mode does is it will run the tractor around the edge of the field. I had a bit of play with it. I sort of got it to work, but not in a way that I was confident that I could make a tutorial of it yet. But I've had at least, I think, 2 people that asked about that. So that's one that I'm pondering as well. I've still got on my list the sort of 5 different ways to play Farm Sim. Obviously only one of them is really correct, but there are other ways to play Farm Sim. And what was the other one that I had in my head? There was another one I had that I've obviously not written down. But I did have it in my head that I wanted to do, and I can't remember now. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, it'll come back to me, and if it's good, there'll be a video on it, I guess. We are almost finished planting this field, so one thing I will mention is you'll have seen through the video that I'm changing the game time speed through the videos. So I did say about going to an extra day, and Bill made a really good point that if I just add in more days because the weather makes it hard, I'm removing the hard factor. And the bit that I was then conscious of is by playing with the time, am I also removing the hard factor? And so what I did for this one is I checked. So the weather was due to be the same all the way through into the night. Slowed the time down so that you guys could see what I was doing and I wasn't farming in the dark. That's a bit of a pet peeve of mine when I watch other people's videos. So I am going to keep playing with the time, but mainly to get you guys a video you can see, not so that I can game how hard this is going to be. It's going to be harder. So it's going to be I'm curious to see people's reactions to how this map is set up. I watched Mr. C. Oh, sorry, that was really badly done. And I had to take a quick phone call. I watched Mr. CDP's map review of it. I watched half of it actually, and I kind of lost interest. If I'm honest, it felt like it was all going a bit slow. So he mentioned the geo and the weather. It was interesting how he mentioned it. That apparently they all have their slightly different take on geos. I don't think many maps do. If I'm honest. Feels like there aren't that many maps that change the geo, and if they do, it's one of mine, particularly ones that are on Mod Hub. Anyway, some of the itch ones do. Some of the American guys or people making American maps, they do their own, and they're obviously a bit more up on it, but not many seem to for maps on Mod Hub. So yeah, I'd end up not watching the whole map review, and I've not done a Google or a YouTube search to see if there are any more. So yeah, I probably should at some point, just to see whether people are commenting on the stuff that I did. Mainly interested if people are finding problems in any of the stuff that I've done. So not heard any complaints, but I've not. Obviously, I tested the contracting setups that I did, but I've not played with them extensively because there were so many to do that I couldn't. So, curious if any of you have played with them as to how you're finding them, whether there are any major howlers in there. I guess that would be good to know. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap this one up pretty soon. I think I've got one more pass to do on the field, and yeah, there's sort of daylight left. I'm really glad this tractor has good lights. I think one of the things that I might end up doing is maybe tweaking the tractor lights a little bit for this stuff where I'm having to record in the dark a lot. It's a pet peeve of mine that if you can't see what's going on in not just farm sim videos, in general in video games, if it's so dark you can't see. I hate it in movies as well. If the movie's so dark you can't see what's actually happening, if I switch some freaking lights on. So I may have a play around with the lighting on the tractors and just crank them up a bit just so we can see what's going on. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this. If you did, click the like button. Any comments, questions or suggestions below, and I will be back in a few days.